everyone. So I am here with Jen with Lucky Girl. I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hi, I am Jenn. I'm the CEO
All right.
of Lucky Girl Productions. I do social media management and a couple other things, but that's what I specialize in.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's go just dive right in there. All right. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you become an entrepreneur in social media industry.
It was done to me, actually.
Okay.
It's kind of a little bit like the rest of my life is kind of a bit of a winding road. My background is in higher education, healthcare. I've done a lot of different things, and I just so happened to be working for a startup that was not getting funded, unfortunately. And one of the coworkers I met while there, he had done some consulting with a restaurant specifically doing IT work for them and asked me if I was interested in giving it a shot for their social media. So I did. We created a plan, and essentially, it did well enough that they quadrupled the budget within
Awesome.
a week. Seeing how many people actually reported that they came in based on the social media, we basically built it from the ground up. So I kind of realized I had a bit of a knack for it.
Mhm.
Social media kind of brings in a lot of, it's data driven. You have to have an eye for creating graphics, which I seem to do. I'm one of those people that never really use like a level when I, put pictures in the house and
Right.
hang stuff. I can just like, I have an eye. I never thought I'd go the creative way, but I guess when I was young and didn't know what I wanted to be, there was no social media. It
Right.
didn't exist way back then. So, it just has evolved, and I have decided to kind of dive head first and have several clients. And actually, it's interesting. My social media is kind of lagging behind,
Right.
right? The people that do the things, the peddler, the cobbler has no
Right.
shoes, right? You do everybody
Exactly.
else's stuff and you don't worry about your own. But obviously, I look at it from a business
Right.
perspective. So
Yeah, that's one of the things I've talked with a couple different people. Is like social media is a full-time job in and of itself.
it
So it's
is.
you can hire someone else, gives you another 40 hours in your day.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, small business owners, I know myself, you don't have a lot of extra time, and you can really get into the weeds with it, and it can take a lot of time. And one thing that I'm doing with one of my clients is her husband has tried to like make flyers, things like that, and the graphic design part of it that I'm able to do, I mean, I can slap together something in 15 minutes where it takes somebody that doesn't do it
right.
regularly 3 hours, right? Because you can get kind of sucked into the, it looking specific and
Yeah.
not knowing what it's supposed to look like. And so um, it's really a help. It's really a great investment.
Right.
I know it's something that people don't think should, garner a lot of, money or out, dollars per hour, that sort of thing. And certainly you can get a factory type, company to do it and churn out who knows what.
Right.
But if you're really looking for a curated, response to what you're putting out there, it's really important to hire a pro for sure. And that way you get your time back. You can focus on your
Right.
own business
Yeah.
and grow it.
Exactly. And it's a fairly new industry, so that's probably one of the reasons that people are a little suspicious and thinking, well, this is not so great because I mean, as you mentioned, I'm in my 40s. I don't remember like
Yeah.
there was nothing like before MySpace. There was nothing. So
MySpace, yeah,
so
right.
so you know, social media is just leaps and bounds, and that's how some people even get their news now. It's completely on the internet. They do not turn on television at all,
That's
straight
me,
up. So
actually. Yeah,
yeah.
I do not watch the news
Mm,
anymore. It's just depressing. And so I feel like the things that are big enough for me to need to know about, I
mm,
come across my, social media, and other people tell me like, here, I didn't even know a hurricane was coming until
oh,
like
right.
2 days before, and people were like, oh, the hurricane. I'm like, what?
Right?
But it is slated to like 59% of the world's population utilizes social media. we're talking the world's
Right.
population. Consider how many of the people in the world are in third world countries that they're not even part of.
Right.
So we're talking almost 100% of people, and it's slated to grow 20% over the next four
Oh yeah.
years. In the United States, 90% of people use social media, 74% of adults use social
Wow.
media, and they spend 2.5 hours per day. So
Yeah.
you can get a chunk of their time.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's 5 seconds videos right now, for example. 15
Right.
seconds is the max that people want to see for, a little video on Instagram or whatever. And so in that amount of time you can capture way more people than in any other type of traditional
Oh,
marketing,
absolutely.
right? So radio, people have to listen to the radio. I haven't listened to the radio in years. I do Pandora,
Hmm.
right? Like, so I can listen to what I want. And then, like, how do I even know what new songs are out there?
Right.
I don't know. I listen to the
Yeah.
same stuff from 2001, but and so it's only going to grow and become more important. I think it's vital for companies at this
Absolutely.
point.
Yeah, people don't realize that you're in everyone's pocket. Like, you pay all this money to try to be in newspapers and TV and radio, where you can do social media, and you're like, when the person wakes up in the morning to the person goes to bed, you have that potential. So
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
So that kind of gets us back into what inspired your start for the social media company, and you mentioned the restaurants. So do you specialize in restaurants? How's that work?
Yeah. So I haven't specialized in restaurants specifically, more toward things that interest me in
Mhm.
general. Which one of them is food. It's a large interest of mine, and the other client base that I have right now is kind of in the health and beauty industry, hairstylist. I have a client that has her own website with products that are like Bath and Body that are curated, that she created. That obviously is of interest to me just because it is. And then tourism. So another one of my companies works with a large national park, Yellowstone. And so I get to kind of interact with that, like kind of hospitality type of
Very
work.
cool.
And so, to me, it's whatever I'm interested in that I'm willing to research and find out the information and constantly look into the industry. Now, I imagine that I will, specialize at one point, right? You want to be great at a few things.
Right.
You don't want to be okay at a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
I'm keeping it, kind of honed down at this point, and who knows what might become, my actual specialty, but it gives me that experience to work with other companies in the same industry. But the way I work, and again, one of the differences that I feel like with me is that I curate very specifically to the brand and to the company. It is not just, restaurants are doing this right now,
Mhm.
seafood restaurants, right? So I'm
Right.
working with the Crab Cake Factory, seafood grill and bar officially is the name. It's a newly opened restaurant in Jack's Beach.
Mhm.
It had actually been opened over a decade ago and was in business, but it's under new ownership. It's kind of revived. And I can't just, work on campaigns for restaurants, right? I have to
Mhm.
specialize.
Right.
If seafood has this type of clientele, people at the beach are
Mhm.
this type of clientele, these are the types of people that will be coming in. The menu, it's not one of those fast casual restaurants, right? It's not TGI Fridays where you can go in and get a $9.99 meal. And
Right.
so you have to look for folks that are going to go out and want to spend some time at dinner off the phone. Not everybody's sitting on their phones, although I do see that sometimes. But I've really kind of adopted what has come my way so far, but I've certainly sought out certain
Mhm.
industries that, like I said, I feel like if there's an interest, right, I'm going to be much more, able to give them a quality
Absolutely.
experience that
Mhm.
they need. That's what they're, you know,
Right.
paying me to do. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And so, kind of keeping in that, what strategies do you do since you said that that previous one had been open and now it's under new management, and so you had to revitalize, as it were. What strategy do you help increase the social media presence? Because super important.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I really had to rebrand, even though it was the same brand. The previous ownership experienced some issues in the past that we kind of had to get over the hump. There's
Mm,
still reviews out there from over a decade ago, right? And so you have to really curate it toward, we're aware of the other things, but this is where we're headed. This is what we're doing in the restaurant. I get a lot of content that is specifically in the restaurant, behind the scenes. So videos from the kitchen, preparing, the crab cakes, for example, and showing them that, each meal that we create is individually created. It's not under a heat lamp somewhere.
right.
So letting people know kind of the type of environment the restaurant is. So you're gonna have to sit and you're gonna eat your bread, you're gonna
Hmm.
drink your wine, and you're gonna, have conversation while you're waiting for your food. It may not
Right.
take 10 minutes to get it.
Right.
And so I really strategize toward the audience, right? And so I'm a one of the things that I think makes me a great social media person is I'm very professional when it calls for it, but I'm also very like I have a great sense of humor, can be very quippy and stuff, and that is not the place for it though. Unfortunately
Hmm.
for me, I would love to be able to respond in certain ways. I do get it in there now and
Right.
then with like a GIF or a GIF, whatever you call it, as a response to somebody, but um, you know, everything being about the audience and making sure that you're interacting with other accounts that are local companies, right? I don't need to worry about national presence because who's going to drive 30 hours for a
Right.
I mean, they do have really good crab cakes, not gonna lie, but I mean,
Right.
let's face it. So, strategizing to kind of work around what may have been there and just, the responses that you're giving, being genuine in responses to comments and even reviews. There have been some sprinkled in where it was just like, I remember this or whatever, and acknowledging it. Hey, yep, we totally understand that was happening. However, we're under new management. This is what we're doing now. We would love for you to come in and check it out. Um, it's really not about defending anything. It is about creating the new brand. And so making sure, like I said, getting that content out to people, showing that we're confident to send it out, and people are gonna complain. I mean, it just is human nature. It's gonna happen, but being very diplomatic in your responses to them, and then also interacting with other companies actively. So targeted companies actively. It's not just following someone's company. It is, liking a couple of their posts, making comments on their posts, because what that does in turn, in a lot of cases, is bringing them back. And we also asked folks that were coming in why they came in. I saw it on social media. I saw it on social media, and so we knew that we were getting, a good reach and it was doing its job. We took that and kind of, decided who those people were, and who else we needed to target. So, for example, our first week open happened to have Valentine's Day in it, which for restaurants, especially, a
Okay.
nicer restaurant, tend to be one of those things that you're not going to get a table unless you have a reservation.
Right.
We did have reservations, so we were a full completely,
Awesome.
which was great, but it
Yeah.
was also our first week. So there's always going to be hiccups. And, it was really about, we created a specific menu for that night to kind of pare things down a
Awesome.
little
Right.
bit.
Right.
So the kitchen knew, exactly what they were getting for the most part. And then, talking with the tables, being involved with the folks that were there, and letting them know, like, hey, look, I we're a little bit backed up. People are coming in at 8:30 for a table without reservations, right, on Valentine's
Right.
Day.
Yeah.
They even said, like, we know we're taking a risk here. And I said, you are. We
Right.
can see you, but we're a little backed up. It's a little slow. And when you communicate with people, a lot of times they're gonna, okay, no worries.
Right.
Like we're fine with that. It's when people don't know that, they um, seem to have more of a challenge. And so, like I said, it's putting it all out there, and not being afraid to even interact with things like other restaurants, right?
Right.
Unless they're your direct competition. And even that, you know what, it shows confidence, and we are about the community. And so the other thing we do is co-marketing. So we had a birthday lady in a couple of Wednesdays ago, and she had a cake that was made by a local baker. And I asked her if I could take a photo of the cake, which was beautiful. And they eventually gave me a piece, and it was delicious. So I'm
Awesome.
definitely talking to
Right.
her. But I asked her for the card so that I could get the information, and tagged her in a post. And, her response was, so gracious. And I said, we love to support other small businesses, local businesses. And it created a conversation where, I really, would like to get in touch with these other companies, kind of like what you're doing here. And, um, making those connections, seeing what they're doing, showcasing it through us. And, you're opening up your audience to their folks. And it can inspire them too, if they don't have much of a social media presence, to see what we're doing, and, kind of piggyback off of it, and increase theirs a little bit. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. I don't even know if I answered your question
No,
actually
you're
at this
totally
point. I could talk all day if you haven't figured that
right.
out. So yeah,
No,
yeah,
and I totally understand. I actually started following a dog inn that's right near my house. They have nothing posted. So just getting it out there. I'm pretty sure the only followers they have are the people that use it that are in the neighborhood. And if you're able to get that out there, if you're able to do the connections, they're super grateful, and then everyone that learns about it is also super grateful. So
absolutely.
same
You never
situation.
know what you're missing.
Right.
And you're not going to get everybody, of course, but it does not take much. It can be as small as one click. Can change a lot for somebody or a business. So, or you can be onto a new thing, like, wow, this is really cool. It's there's so much out there. Our brain processes like 1% of the things that actually encounter us every single day. And if you get to be one of those, it's really cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So you've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but if you would, how you differentiate yourself in the services of social media that you have in your company's market, things of that sort.
Yeah. I really, again, I am the type of person that loves research, and I want to make sure that I'm always, being as on top of what the trends are. They do change pretty quickly, but there's some staples that are just like Instagram this, Facebook is this, times of day to post, for
Right.
example,
Hmm.
have stayed pretty steady. And so it's not like something I have to look into, but taking the data analytics from the business pages that you can get even without doing ads, they will still give you numbers. So taking that and saying, what was I doing that week that yielded this? What can I do to increase this? Looking at things like how long the video length, the best video length is
Hmm.
under 15 seconds. And just really diving into and digesting that, like, part of it that it's not I'm just posting things on social media.
Right.
there's a reason that I'm doing what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and where. And then I really like to stay agile. I feel like a lot of people get stuck right in the things that they do, the way they do things. I'm not one of those people. I'm always thinking outside the box. I'm an idea person. I'm always, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like, especially in corporate America, has been tough for me because I'm the person that says, like, okay, we've done this for 10 years and this is the result. It's not great, or it could be better, or, I can do this in half the time if I do this. And they're like, no, 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 we're good.
Yeah.
I like to, evolve and, constantly I'm asking questions, looking into things. And so staying agile, being very upfront with people. That's, letting people know that they can trust me and letting them trust me before I dive in. So my latest client, for example, she sent me a contract request like immediately after putting in a proposal. And I said, hey, let's have a conversation about the scope, what exactly you're looking for. And she actually, when we did have the conversation, she's like, thank you so much for doing that, because she said, I actually just wanted to message you, but I didn't know how to do that on the platform. And I just pushed the button to get the contract. And so she's like, I really, really appreciate that. You kind of dialed back a little. And,
Right.
I am not, money hungry per se. I want to make an impact and I want to help people. Obviously, there needs to be something for me in it as well. But the symbiotic relationship where I'm going to check in with them if I'm not sure about something or if they have a question. I mean, one of my clients texts me like immediately when they see something like, oh, I'm gonna take it down, or whatever. And being more consultative than anything, being the authority on this is why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, rather than just being like, I'm gonna slap things up on social media for you to get exposure. I target my outreach. So on Instagram, for example, you can only follow 200 people a day. They throttle you on that. And you can actually buy followers. I'm not sure if you're
Right.
aware of that. So those like influencers, whatever.
Yeah.
And Instagram actually pays attention to that, and they will. So if you see, I've noticed a lot of the like other account was deleted. A lot of that is because Instagram has figured out that they've bought all of their followers, and that's against the rules. Funny thing, I'm blocked until the 13th from Instagram on my own
All
account
right.
because I accidentally like followed one of those accounts that like reaches out to people, and I had no idea. So I put like the report thing, report. Like it wasn't me. I
Right.
didn't do it, and I'm like, all right, well, moving on. So staying agile, and
Right.
it is what it is. So perfect example right there. No, not to do that again.
Right.
I had no idea, but doing the targeted outreach. So if it's a local company and a local company that does services like restaurant, it's only going to be people in, Jack's Beach for the most part, in a 25-mile radius that I reach out to, companies that I reach out to follow. I'm very specific with it. So with those 200, I stay as, specific as possible and hopefully more impactful. And so, just down to small things like that, where you can go crazy on Instagram and follow anybody. And, before you know it, you're in another country, like where it's not
Yeah.
even gonna, it's not gonna help you. So, interaction also, not just doing the follows, interacting with people that comment on your stuff, but also interacting with the other folks, the local businesses, putting a little comment on one of their posts, then again they'll be inclined to comment back. And staying top of mind is really what's important. So being visible in the market that you're looking for, your business from. Yeah.
And so you again, we're flowing. So you're getting to
I,
questions as
you
a
know what, I do that. Like, I answer questions before they've even been asked.
right,
I'm like I said, I'm an idea. It just, I have a
right.
flow. Sometimes it goes in the correct direction.
Mm.
sometimes it goes completely off in a
Right.
tangent. I'm trying to stay on topic here.
There you go.
Um,
No, I mean, and you mentioned that you made a misstep, and so you followed the wrong person. So again, like, how do you face running your social media business and some of the challenges that you have to run that, efficiently?
Yeah, it is. A lot of it does take time. And so I need to be very conservative with my time and when I do things. I think that my interest in creating my own business, becoming an entrepreneur with the risk that it comes with, is being flexible on my own schedule, doing what I need to do rather than being a butt in seat 9 to 5 person. I can do that. I've done it. It's just never really appealed to me. So, for example, this morning while I'm drinking my coffee before I've even totally woken up, and this is probably when this happened, I'll do my follows for my clients. And that's 5:30 in the morning. And that's a time when it works for me and I would otherwise be scrolling myself, right? So I'm
Right.
like, why don't I turn this into a productive
Hmm.
time and do that type of thing. If I'm waiting in line at the grocery store, I can do that. It's flexible. I can do it wherever I am or want to be. That's a great thing. Now, needing to be online, of course, is another. Making sure that you do have connectivity where there, especially around here, there's some
Oh yeah.
dry spots where there isn't. But it is managing time is really important. I have a schedule for myself of my clients and kind of, which days I do this for them, depending on what their specific um, objectives are, right? So each one is different. I don't have a like, this is, this package of this is what you get.
Right.
I curate it for them. So I'm like, all right, so 3 times a week I do this, create the content. So sitting at home and being able to create the digital media that I'm going to be putting out 10 in a row on a Sunday when I'm sitting around doing nothing so that I'm good for the rest of the week with posting then, right? So on some um, things that I'm able to schedule, I schedule it out, get it done, and that way I can have time to do, things like those. So today I'm obviously, taking some time driving, that sort of thing. When I drive, I make phone calls that I need to make for myself
Hmm.
personally, for example. I'm not good at doing two things at once, so I can do it, but I screw one of them up,
Right.
right? And so it's not like I can be on the computer all day and talking, doing my own stuff. So right, my stuff falls by the wayside. So I kind of use those chunks of time. Like I know that I am going to be driving, so I can make this call, that sort of thing. And it sounds intuitive, but a lot of people have, issues with time management. And doing something like this, it's easy to get overwhelmed, right? And so you think about getting a new client, you're like, oh, your chest gets a little tight because you're like, can I fit that into, my schedule? And you sit down and think about it, yes, there's more hours in a day and you can switch this around or, whatever the case may be. But, um, you know, it's, uh, it's just like any other, right? Getting new clients, right? Trying to get them to understand the value. If you go on Upwork, for example, there are people looking for people to do social media for them and they want to pay $5 an hour. And, someone who is a pro at that, it's I can't do it for
No.
$5 an hour, right? And that's not sustainable for me. And so what happens is, the overseas folks, it's international. So
Hmm.
yes, they can do it for that. But what do you get? Right?
Right.
The client that one of the clients I work with, she said, I did work with a company like that for a very short period of time because even the wording wasn't
Right.
quite
Hmm.
right. And so it's it's showing that value that yes, investing, you're going to get the ROI with someone that is tracking with you,
Hmm.
and paying attention to what um, your company is doing at the time. Do you have any specials? I need to put that up,
Right.
something as simple as that. And so it's really just kind of juggling everybody but staying in your lane, like I need to do this. And if you don't do it though, I can make it up at like 11 o'clock at night if I need to, which I don't want to do. But there's the flexibility with
Right.
it. And so, that is a nice thing. But I mean, it's just like any other company, right? Showing your value, but being more, it's important to me to be more of an educator than anything. Higher education, as I said, is part of my background. So being a teacher is just innate with me. And so teaching people things they can do on their own, and teaching them why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why the cost is what it is, and they start to see like, oh yeah, I mean, a hairstylist that I'm working with, I mean, I've done minimal work for her because her budget is lower, which is fine, but she in 1 week got 2 new clients just from that. And I mean, a hairstylist, I'm not sure if you know, like, especially for us ladies, is not cheap,
No.
right? So
Yeah.
even a new client, I mean, we're talking a haircut for her is $70.
Yeah.
So, 2 times minimum of 70, which us ladies, we get all sorts of things done.
Oh yeah.
And so the bill's going to be much higher. And so you start to see that, ROI, and, you know, it's, that's the hardest part of it, right? But that's why I said I like to be more of an educator than anything, and I need people to trust me, and so it's really important for me to do right by them. And if they're not into it, that's fine, and hopefully they'll see eventually, like, hey, follow my page, follow this page that I do, and just see, see the responses, see the likes, that sort of thing. And so, um, it's finding your niche, right? And it is popular, right? A lot of people, I feel like, are doing this, or pretending to do this,
Yeah.
saying they can do it. And I mean, if that's all you want, that's fine. If you need somebody to post something, if you've got content, great. You can do that. But if you want something that's more curated, that you're going to get that ROI from,
Right.
all of our time is limited,
Oh yeah.
right? And funds as well, right? I want it to be an investment, and a smart investment for them. And if it's not, I need to adjust something, right? And I, want to work with them to get there, because that's my goal, is for them to be
Oh,
successful.
absolutely. All right. So, in your opinion, I know this is kind of a silly question. How important is social media presence for a company in this digital age, and
Right.
why?
Yes, it is vital. I
Right.
mean, there is absolutely just no two ways about it. Again, the social media presence growing 20% in the next 4 years. By 2027, we're talking almost everybody then is going to be on social media. People are all bent out of shape about the whole AI thing, right? AI is going to take over, and AI, blah, blah, blah. I use AI because it makes my job easier. However, I have to master how to utilize it in the correct way.
Right.
But the output isn't always what I need or want. So you still have to, you still got to look at it. And a human has to be like, does that even make sense? Right. And so,
Oh, did I die? Oh, wouldn't that happen? All right. So we're back. We had serious issues, but everything just kind of slid over
technical
mid
difficulties.
sentence. So we'll just jump forward onto the next question, because you were, I think you were wrapping up. It feels wrapped up, as it were.
Sure.
So, all right. So how do you stay up to date with? You kind of mentioned this again earlier, talking about AI and whatnot. How do you stay up to date with some of the latest technologies and algorithms, and how do you incorporate that into the service that you offer?
Yeah, so again, it's really just a lot of research. You just have to physically go out there and look, and make sure that what you're looking at is the most up to date. I do look at a lot of data driven stuff. And then there's also now, interestingly enough, I mean, I come from kind of more of the academic world, so I'm used to things like, academic papers and things like that, and stuff that you wouldn't think has anything to do with the instantaneous social media type of world, but now there are true, case studies done on certain things. For example, where your eyes look. So eye tracking. There's a recent study that shows, for example, and the eye tracks in an F formation. So, someone that is looking to build a website, for example, you want the most exciting things going across and down and across. So, what people are going to do is they're going to scan for maybe headlines and
Mm-hmm.
then decide what they want to read under that. But we read left to right. So, our eyes naturally gravitate to that. But there was an actual study that was done, tracking people's sight. So and again, maybe that's one of those differentiated things. Like, I find that stuff cool because I'm
Right.
just super, scientific. But I found that out as a result of one of my clients wanting me to do a flyer for them. And I was like, okay, it looks okay, but how could it be better? And the fact of the matter is, the people that are going to, really, really excel and get as much as they can out of it are going to be the ones that are actually paying attention to that stuff rather than being like willy nilly about it. So things like, if you have something that draws a lot of attention, making sure there's a call to action, right?
Right.
So, click here, or whatever, because people will gravitate toward that. But if there's nothing to click, they're going to get bored and they're going to move on. And so you had them and then they're gone that quick,
Right.
right? And so things like that, it's a matter of keeping up with what's out there, looking at the people that rank, rate these things,
Right.
literally the hashtags, right?
Right.
So what's trending in X industry right now, this and this is number one. But what you actually want to do on Instagram is it's sometimes more effective to not use the tags that are the 1.6 million, right?
Mm-hmm. Don't get
Instead of
lost.
the ones exactly into the like the thousands, right? Because there's a lot of noise on those other ones. So it's knowing that type of stuff and looking into that. And I'm constantly learning new things. And I'm like, how, and it's like the AI stuff. And we were talking about that, understanding that you have to input into AI the correct thing
Right.
to get what you're looking for out of it. It can go very haywire and you can find it not very useful and waste a lot of time trying to get it. So it's really important, to master those things as well to make sure that you're utilizing them as best as you can. And
Mm-hmm.
then again, going into that data that they give you on those business profiles. So the business profiles are free, right? On Facebook, Instagram. You can have the analytics. They'll give it to
Mm-hmm.
you, tell you where people are looking, what the demographics are, that sort of thing, even without ads. I think people think that in order to get any type of information back, you have to run ads, and you don't necessarily. I mean, ads can be a lot more impactful, that is for sure, depending on what you do and where you do it. But if you're staying, if you're following what's, happening, what is important to your demographic and your audience that you're trying to reach, you can be much more effective without even spending those extra dollars on ads. So, it's staying on top of things, really, even day to day.
Right. I would imagine absolutely. So we're kind of wrapping up, which is good that we had the issue earlier.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to someone who wants to look to improve their social media? What are some of the things they can do for engagement, their presence? What do you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the following, and don't get in trouble like I did with Instagram. Do not buy followers in any case. Never do it. It's just a bad idea altogether. Being meaningful in your searches for people to follow. So I steal followers basically, and this is how I do it. So I'm working with a Bath and Body brand right now. I don't want to follow Bath and Body Works, right? They're big competition
Right.
for me. However, what I do want to do is I want to go to their Instagram, find their posts that have to do with things that I also create, or my clients, and go to the likes, where it says like 3,700 people liked, whatever.
Right.
If you click on that, you get a list of all the people
Oh
that
yeah.
liked
Mm-hmm.
that. So, right there, if you're national anyway, there's your list of people that you want to actually follow, right? It's as simple as that. For the restaurant local, same thing. Go to, you know, uh, anything with Jack's Beach, for example. We're at the beaches, so if there's an account that says Jack's Beach, they're going to be local. Maybe if it's like a local dessert place, bakery,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're eating out. So you go to the bakery, and again, same thing. Go and find their followers, like them,
Mm-hmm.
and then interact with them. Go actively, proactively, not just respond to the people that comment on your stuff. Go and make a comment on one of theirs, like a couple of their posts. They're inevitably going to be intrigued and interested.
Right.
And again, it's sales like any other, right? So even social media is still sales. You have to, attract a customer, have enough interaction with them that they trust you and they want to do the thing. So have more than one touch point, right? Like you're going to have to interact with them a couple of times before they're going to interact back with you, usually, or buy your product, whatever. And so having that presence in a consistent manner, certain days you're posting this, certain days you're posting that, and it is not enough to just post twice a week. It nowadays
Yeah.
anyway, it's not. It gets lost in the sauce. And so, you want to post as much as you can. Don't be frivolously posting, right? Just anything to post, be meaningful about it, but you have to really consider that if you're looking for traffic, like true traffic, you have to post multiple times per week, sometimes multiple times per day, depending on the industry. So definitely following those trends. And like I said, staying in those hashtags that are like, maybe not, the top one,
Right.
right? And, you know, that alone, those couple of things will get you, just you'll see the difference.
So what are your future plans for your social media company, and where do you see the industry heading in the next few years? I know you've touched a little bit on that, but go a little bit.
Becoming a billionaire,
Right?
that is my goal.
It's
Um,
on the low tier of the goals, right? I'm sure. Right?
Absolutely. It's, I'm realistic,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously. Um, but, I would like to obviously have enough clients to be comfortable myself. Like, just like anybody else starting a business, you don't get money until your clients pay you. And so right now I'm actually doing, I have to like waitress, it's interesting in your 40s after 3 degrees and you're waitressing now, but that's the price you pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to get to what you want. It is a process to get to my billion, and I will. But my future plan is to, you know, hopefully kind of hone down and specialize some things. And although I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now, but be able to be successful at co-marketing, boosting other companies that are small and local, is important to me. Even if they're not a client, if there's a way around that I can do it, I would love to be able to make an impact. That's really what's important to me. So as much of an impact as I can make by what I'm doing, is important. And like I said, the industry is not going anywhere. It is slated to increase 20% over the next 4 years. There is no other industry, for the most part, that you can say has that type of growth in just 4 years, right? So and it's old too.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, these things are not that new at this point,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so you think still with that like momentum that they're still growing,
Mm-hmm.
it's limitless. And the projection is that social media will impact almost every part of our lives within the next 20 years or
Oh,
so.
absolutely. Yeah.
So not even just scrolling while I'm waiting online at the grocery store. Me being like, door dashing for myself in right the
Mm-hmm.
grocery store or something,
Right.
pulling off a shelf and like coming right to me.
Right.
So that it's only headed up. So
Mhm.
it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I will pivot if I need to, right? Because that's what COVID taught me, if nothing else.
Yes.
So it's great, and I'm really enjoying being able to kind of utilize a lot of my skills together
Mhm.
into something that may not, be like I said, out directly into a position
Awesome.
in the corporate world.
Cool. And so I ask all of my guests this: what is one of your favorite local meals? I know that you've worked with the Crab Cake Factory, so
Yes,
if you want to tell me something awesome on their menu.
100%. Okay, so I am a Maryland transplant.
Mhm.
You are hard pressed to find a true Maryland crab cake anywhere around here. Even if you look at the beach, there are none. The original, recipe for the crab cakes there is from a chef that worked in literally Baltimore,
Okay.
Maryland restaurants. So you are going to get the true crab cake experience there. They cannot be any more full of meat. Honestly, there are a lot of places that try to put a bunch of crackers and you know 3 pieces of crab meat. And in fact, if you go to the social media, I have videos of them actually being made, so you can physically see all of the meat in there. So Crab Cake Factory Jacks, by the way, on Instagram and Facebook. But I highly recommend, if you're interested in seafood,
Mhm.
to definitely try that. And they do have Angus steak. So if you're
Okay.
not into surf, we do have turf.
Right.
And we also have a full bar, which is really cool. And then we have specialty nights. So Wednesdays, for example, are R&B nights. So we bring in a DJ and we do a little like R&B
Awesome.
music while you're dining. We do have a quiet dining space as well if you're not into that as much. But we're trying to kind of be a little bit innovative and give people a different experience than what they're used to. So definitely highly recommend that. That's my recommendation.
Awesome. Definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
And so where can everybody find you? Like your social medias, your websites,
uh,
you're out in the streets roaming
Yeah,
around.
not on Instagram right now
Right.
because I'm blocked. No, I think people can see me. I'm just blocked from doing anything.
Right.
Yeah, lucky_girl_productions on Instagram. That's really where I'm keeping everything for the most part. But also on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
I have a pretty good presence there. So Lucky Girl Productions LLC on LinkedIn is another great way to connect with me. But would definitely love to connect with people like yourself that are
Right.
interested in just chatting about the local area business,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. Doesn't even need to be a client, but usually somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah.
And I haven't been here that long, and so I guess it's like 5 years now.
Yeah, it sneaks up on
If it
you.
it does. And so always obviously learning about new people, meeting new people. And so I'm ready to get out and about, unlike the whole COVID thing. So yeah, absolutely. You'll see me around.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming out.
Thank
And
you.
thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I'll put all the information in the show notes so that you can follow Jen here. And you all have a great day. Bye.
Thanks.